What's going on, guys? Billy here, and today I've got Ken with me, and we want to go over the brand new rule that the FAA has instated that all hobbyist drone pilots are going to have to follow as of May 18th, 2018. That is when we are recording this video. Now, if you're somebody who's been flying drones for months or maybe years and you're familiar with all of the prior rules, then this is going to be the perfect video for you because we're going to go over what's new and we're going to give our thoughts on it.
Now, if you're someone who is brand new to drones and this is your first time flying, I suggest you go check out Russ from 51 Drones' video. He covers a brief outline of the new rules in great detail. Check the link below.
Yeah, he did a great video. Now, there's one change, and a lot of people are kind of yelling fire because of this change, and basically, hobbyist pilots are not going to be able to fly in controlled airspaces. That's Class B, Class C, and Class D airspace.
Temporarily.
Yes.
So it's not as bad as you may think or some videos had led you to believe.
So essentially, rather than calling up the air traffic control tower, these hobbyist pilots in the future are now going to be able to use the LAANC system that Part 107 pilots are currently using. And I've got to say that going and transitioning from being a hobbyist to a Part 107, it is so much easier. Calling up the ATC, the air traffic control tower, might seem pretty easy, but at the end of the day, you can get bounced around from person to person. I feel like I'm personally wasting their time. And now being able to use LAANC through Kitty Hawk or AirMap is a breeze.
Yeah, you're going to save countless time when you need to get up in the air, and we're not going to waste the air traffic controller's time, and thus they'll have better clarity as to where the drones actually are in the airspace going forward with the digital authorization.
Yeah, I wonder when you call the air traffic control tower exactly what they do with that information.
And I think, a lot of times I don't think it's really the hobbyist or the pilot's issue as to knowing where drones are in an airspace. I think it boils down to if you just call and they're just like, yeah, okay, which would be really bad for them to do, but I'm sure it does happen.
I mean, they eventually get you to the right person. They ask you a lot of questions, but at the end of the day, you're wasting somebody's time that could be doing something a lot more important than just worrying about where drones are. And now having this one system that's made specifically for us really is a good thing, I think, going forward. Now, I'm going to put up a screenshot on the screen right now, and this is from DJI's app, and you'll see a ton of these markers all around, these different circles and ovals and landing patterns.
It looks very intimidating at first, but you're going to switch to screen and there is a glimmer of hope to all this.
Yes, now this is from the FAA. This is on their Visualize It website, I believe. I'm going to leave a link down in the description, and you can see that there's a ton of space that hobbyists can still fly. This right here only shows the controlled airspaces, so you just can't fly in these spots, and if you choose anywhere else, you're good to go for the time being.
Exactly, and if you do want to fly in a controlled airspace, there are AMA fields, designated areas within those spaces that you can fly, although it's not really attractive for somebody who just maybe spent $1,500 on this camera drone and you're basically flying over a grass field.
Yeah, here's my thing with the AMA fields now that you brought that up is I think people are a little bit worried that in the future, us drone pilots are literally going to be shoved into these AMA fields. I think that if that's the case, a lot of these people are going to give up the hobby. They're going to end up selling their drones. They're going to go do something else because personally for me, if I'm restricted to these zones, I'm going to be bummed out because I love flying by drone around structures, getting these different photos and videos. And if I was just limited to like an oval and I could just fly in circles, I'd be pretty bored.
That would be boring. And now that we've talked about this rule, I got to know, because we started out as hobbyist pilots and we were pretty big proponents. I think at one point we were a little bit opposed to get in our 107s because we're like, we're not going to pay that money. We're not doing that. And we're like, no, but you got to sort of feel for the people who are just coming into this and they're like, what do I do now? They're like freaking out.
Yeah. Now we were talking about this before we actually shot this video. I think a lot of people are going to get their Part 107 now.
I really think so.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to expedite the process of being able to just go and start flying, in these controlled airspaces. I understand that the FAA really wants to make this as safe as possible, but I think that they're kind of taking steps backwards.
And there's been talk of a knowledge test that you have to take, but it hasn't been developed. But anytime the FAA does anything, there's going to be money involved. Yep. So how much are you going to charge for this test? And would it just make much more sense for you to take your 107?
They're already charging the $5 to register your drone.
Right.
They're already charging the $150 to take your Part 107. I think what DJI is doing is good with their knowledge quiz you have to take.
I agree.
Right? Something like that is perfect. I think that is fine.
What if they made it a mandate for the drone manufacturers to include that knowledge test into the application? Like you couldn't get any further into the app when you first purchased a drone until you took that knowledge test. Like, you had to take that before you flew. I think that would be like awesome. That would make good sense.
Yeah, I do think it's a good idea, but then you've got to think about the people that are building their own drones. But here's how I think about that, right? Is if you're building your own drone, you've probably got a really good idea at the rules and the regulations.
I agree with that.
So that's pretty much everything that's changed. One thing, right? And what the future holds, we really don't know. The FAA, they're an archaic, I guess, branch of the government, and at the end of the day, we can't tell you what's going to come, but these rules are always changing. It is kind of exciting to see what comes, and I really hope that the FAA doesn't continue to take steps backwards, because with this one step backward, I think they're going to be able to take a giant leap forward, getting everybody under this LAANC system.
Right, I agree. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going to get this system up and running by summer 2019. That's what we were promised. They didn't give us any concrete timelines, but I'd like to hope that it'd be like late July or so that we see something like this.
Because summer's the time when everybody's out flying.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
And I'm glad I've got my Part 107 because this doesn't affect me, and I really would I would encourage you guys to go out and get your 107 because even if you've got sometimes the police coming because maybe somebody didn't like what you're doing with your drone and you have that card on them,
take it out.
Exactly. I mean, it really does add a whole nother level of credibility to who you are as a drone pilot and what you're doing with that drone, because if you took the time to get that test, I mean, the police are going to be cool with whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Now, I want to extend this to you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. I never really like to make videos on my channel about like changes that the FAA is making, because I make a video and then a week later we've got something brand new,
Right.
But this is something that's pretty big. It seems that the FAA is now limiting where hobbyists can fly in an attempt to make it even easier for us. But again, I hope that they don't continue down this path of limitation after limitation.
I think if they're going to do limitations like this, they need to have their replacement protocol in place first before you strip somebody. Like, why do this and not have the LAANC system ready? They should have rolled out seamlessly.
Exactly. And I wonder what really made them jump the gun right now and say, look, we're gonna ban you guys flying in controlled airspace as of today. I mean, what happened?
Have you heard anything? I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything. But guys, let us know what you think down in the comment section below. We'll be down there, I guess chatting with you guys. And I really am interested to see what the community as a whole has to say. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.